Hello, and welcome to the Bones 5 Kickstarter review wrap-up. Quite a lot of miniatures that passed over that table of mine lately, and I feel I would be remiss if I didn't share some of my overall thoughts on this series, the Kickstarter as a whole, and what I think about the current pledge manager that I've been referencing at the start and end of every one of these review videos. This Kickstarter has been unlike any other I've been a part of. Up until this, I'd only participated in small projects at small tiers. Reaper really sold me on this series of products. I've been buying from them for the past few years, so I already knew of their quality, but they really took it a step further this time. I hadn't participated in one of their Kickstarters before, but I was vaguely aware of them, and before pledging in this one, I went and did my research diving into the older Kickstarters, and I saw a few little minor gripes and controversies here and there, but overall it seemed like they were delivering a good product on time. Well, this time it wasn't on time, but that wasn't really something within their control, and the product I got was still pretty great. I'm very glad this one happened when it did, and I was able to join in. I've been obsessing over this thing for almost 2 years now, thanks to those delays. Not everything has been perfect this time, as most Kickstarters often have their hiccups, and certain decisions that were made along the way have impacted some backers more negatively than others. But overall, I know that I'm pretty satisfied with this Kickstarter, and that many others have also found some great positives here as well. This was, and still is, the most I've ever put into a project. And I got a good return on my investment, but only because I was in a much better place financially at the time that I backed this. If this had happened now, I don't think I'd been able to acquire half of what I did. It's rough, and I know it's rougher for others out there, and money is tight for some of you, but that doesn't mean we're all not still interested in what's in the new PM or what other miniature companies out there have to offer. Sustaining this hobby, or any hobby for that matter, can be a really healthy pastime during these draining months that we've been going through at this point years. And as such, I felt some responsibility to get these showcases out there and make this wrap up so that you can make some informed decisions regarding what purchases are best for you, if any. And your support along the way has really motivated me to get this done, and even though I'm in a crunch time before I go on a very long extended trip, I knew I just had to get this finished before I left, and by the time this is going up, it'll probably be scheduled during the time I'm leaving, or I'll be well gone. I won't be gone though, so if anybody still has some questions after seeing this video, feel free to ask them in the comments. I'll still be able to get back to you, and hopefully I'll still be able to work on a few videos with what footage I have while I'm away. But for now, I'd like to take things back to this video and focus on wrapping up all my reviews, discussing the pledge manager, and giving my overall thoughts on what this Kickstarter had to offer. Alright, so what we're seeing on the screen right now is my list of review scores, and I have them divided up roughly by category. But you can see with these scores here that they may not be exactly the same as in some of the videos, as I rounded up typically until we got to the later add-ons. But you can see, like with the core set, I left it at its 9.3, and you can see some more points in this area especially that were rounded in the other videos. But you can see I have compiled the full list of scores that I gave, so you can kind of make comparisons here. I do have it up by category, so you have your core set and the expansions, that's the word, over here. I have all the encounters down here. These are all the add-on packs, so any add-ons that had multiple minis in them. Here's all the dragons. Here's all the big mini add-ons, and then here's the little bits, the rest. They don't quite fit in with here, but they kind of do. So I have it divided up like that. So you can kind of get an idea of what my average score was that I gave. I'd imagine it's somewhere in the 10 range, 10 point something. Now the ones I just highlighted in red are no longer available in the Pledge Manager. They might be heading to retail soon, or are already at retail, or they're just in the wind, we don't know, but you can't get them from the Pledge Manager now. So I would keep an eye on the web store at reapermini.com if you're going to try to acquire any of these. Now there is a special case here. The Henchmen and Hirelings is still in the Pledge Manager. However, they're already releasing one at retail sometime soon, and it's in a box set with the Henchwomen. So they're going to be combining these two together. And you can see they had very similar scores. The only reason the Henchwomen ended up getting less is because I had some trouble with one of their assemblies, and I was sent basically a missing piece. You can check out the video to see how all that went down. But overall, this is the one instance where even if it's in the Pledge Manager, maybe it's smarter to just wait till retail. The price may go up, but you'll get both of these. And if you were to get this and the retail one to get the Henchwomen, if you didn't already have these, then you're just going to get duplicates of these, and you might end up spending more in the long run anyway. But I really do think this is a great add-on, even at the price that it is now, which we'll get to later. But it is a weird case. But looking at what's available here, everything that's not in red or yellow, what would I recommend picking up? Well, it depends. It depends on how much you're willing to spend. It also depends on your interests. But for me, I have a few keystone add-ons or things that I would recommend, and I try to pick at least one from these various categories. Everything I just put in green is sort of keystone add-on from that section, and the ones in blue we'll address in a moment, but we stick with the green for a second. Now the core set is really kind of in its own category. You can see it doesn't have the highest score, but in the video I did round it up to 10 because I think the merits of the core set outweigh some of the individual blunders or issues that I had in my personal copy of it. Now you can check out my review video on the core set where I talk a lot about the recasts that are involved and really do an in-depth deep dive into each individual piece, an individual figure in that set. So you can really check that out to get a little more information. But I really think the core set is, it's the core set for a reason. I would definitely pick that up if nothing else. So my top pick for the expansions would have to be the Dark Depths. I think it's just great value. It just has a lot of great minis. Of the encounters, is Shadows of Ravenholm, which I always want to say Ravenholm because of Half-Life 2, but different spelling. Although I should note that this is not a common spelling of that, I guess, because every time I type it out, it gives me the red squigglies, but whatever. You can check out my video on why I really sing the praises of this one. Now, of these packs, you can see a ton of them are not in the Pledge Manager. There are other items not here, but I'm only looking at the things that I got because I can't really speak on stuff that I literally never touched. But of these, I would say the Henchmen and Hirelings, yes, but see the previous reasons why that's still in yellow. And then the Townsfolk. Now, if you don't have a need for Townsfolk minis, maybe not, but for me, I recommend this. It's a great value, and you get a ton of minis for just slightly more than $1 each. Now for these big minis, Arakoth and the War Mammoth, you can see Arakoth had a perfect score, the War Mammoth had an 11. I just really love these minis, and they're at good price points, and they're definitely things that I would recommend to other people. And of the little oddball set, I actually really like the Dragon Bust. As funny as this disapproving hand is, I think the Dragon Bust may actually be just better all around. It's great for practicing painting on and using as like a terrain piece, and it's just a nice thing to have on your desk or table or your shelf to look at. Now the dragons are in blue because I recommend you get them, but it depends on whether you're trying to get all of them or one or two or some. Because if you're trying to get all of them, that's a tall order. But if you're just getting a few, then by all means they're at a good value. But if you're trying to get all of them, that's a bit much. So those are my top recommendations, but what are my secondary recommendations? Well, you really can't go wrong with any of the expansion sets. Now, if Dark Depths isn't your vibe, any one of these would also be a great way to spend your money. You're going to get a good number of minis in there and a good selection with a pretty cohesive theme, at least until you get to the fan favorites, which is kind of scattershot, but it's fan favorites for a reason, so there's probably something in there that you'll like. For the encounters, I really like these other ones, but I say these are the top value ones, mostly because either there's figures in there that I think are just going to be particularly useful, or their retail release is going to be very different from the Kickstarter release. These would be my secondary recommendations on top of these other ones. So if you're getting these, or maybe you don't want the core set but you want multiple expansion sets, go for it. Yeah, so these would definitely be things I'd recommend. And finally, everything else is, for me, I would say, if you can get other things, by all means. There's nothing here that I would say don't get. Even the set with the lowest score that I gave, that's Gallowguard right here, got a 7. Really low score. I had a lot of problems with it. It still has its merits. I would still pick it up. But if I had to do this all over again, knowing what I know now, if it was between getting Gallowguard and saving some money, maybe I'd save some money. This is what it looks like now that I have shown the prices on the screen. You can see the crossover between my recommendations and their pricing. I blacked out everything that you can't get in the Pledge Manager and just the blank space there to make it a little more readable. You can see most of my top recommendations are fair values. There's nothing too crazy expensive here. Even the dragons are all pretty cheap. For the secondary ones, it's not too expensive either. But if you're looking at this and you're trying to say, well, what works for me? What if I only have so much money to work with? So if I only have 200, maybe $300, or maybe I only have $60, what do I get? Well, if you have $60, one of these is probably good, but we're going for at least 100, 120, that kind of range. What would I recommend you get? Well, if nothing else, the core set. As you can see, it's $175, but you're getting the most minis out of any of those other sets. And you're getting a great variety of minis. You're getting player characters, monsters, some really weird, unique minis, as well as some just general, you're gonna use these a lot in games. If you're just using this Kickstarter to get minis to paint, you're not running games or giving your minis to a DM, then this is also a great value because you're getting so many canvases to paint on. But it is $175, and that's before tax and shipping, so it is a bit of spending. So if that's a little out of your price range, or if you already had the core set, or you have a lot of duplicates from there and it just doesn't appeal to you, then the next thing I would recommend is picking up an expansion or two. So the core set is $175, and then two of these is $120. So you're already getting 2 expansion sets for less than the price of a core set, but you're going to get less minis. The core set had over 120, maybe 150. I don't remember exactly how many minis it had, but it was at the point that at $120 back during the Kickstarter, every mini was roughly about 77 cents each. So now it's 175. I'm not great at mental math, but you can kind of work that out if you know the total number of minis have. And you're going to get a dice set and some bases of 2 different sizes if you get the core set as well. But with these expansions, again, you really can't go wrong with them. They've gone up all $10. There's some quirkiness with some of them, like with the fan favorites. It has an elemental scion that's in there for some reason, but they're going to be releasing in a pack with the other three that were in an add-on that now you can't get. So if you get that and then you later buy the scion pack at retail that you were waiting for, you're going to end up with two of these elementals. It might not be a bad deal, but if you want to avoid that, then I guess that could be something to think about. Kind of, I wouldn't wait too much on a single mini throwing that kind of off, but these would be things that I would recommend for different reasons. It's kind of up to your interests and tastes. Like I said, Dark Depths is my number one recommendation. I think with all of these, you're dealing with minis being around $1 something to $2 each, and with Dark Depths there are multiple large minis that you can check out in my review that have no business being that price with most of these, except for Brine Wind and maybe Dungeon Dwellers. You're getting multiple large minis at a very cheap price, with then a bunch of other minis just kind of bundled in for free. It depends on how you think about it. You could say, oh, you're spending a lot on a few big minis and then you're getting a bunch for free. It really depends on how you look at it. But I don't know if that's a healthy way to look at things and spending, but these definitely are worth the cost. They're worth the spending. So if you're not going to get the core set, or you're getting the core set and you have a bit left over, I would definitely consider some of the expansions. But now if you're looking at the rest of this board and saying, well, maybe I don't want to pick up the core set, or maybe I participated in the Kickstarter before and there's some add-ons I missed, which ones should I pick up now? Well, these ones in green are the ones I've highlighted because I feel their value, their price, and their value have a certain crossover that some of the other ones don't. There are other add-ons here, of course, but these ones in particular stick out to me. Like if we look over here at the encounters, these encounters, they're not necessarily cheap, although the Shadows of Ravenholm is at steel at $17. But if you're looking at some of these other ones, Mandapar Pass was $22 during the Kickstarter. It's already gone up to $27. That's still at a reduced price. The fact of the matter is, this is not going to be the retail price. It's not even going to be close. That $27 pays for the temple facade. The rest of the minis are bonus. When this goes to retail, whether it's divided up or still in one box set, it's going to be a significant amount of money. So if you wanted to pick this up, now would be the time, even at $27. And that's kind of the case for most of these, but for some of them it's just really good value, like the Fire Giant, the Storm Giant, all of these here, especially these, they're minis that I would expect to see $20 minimum price. So to see one of these at 10, 12 for this giant spider is crazy to me. And then this Townsfolk one, they're like $1 something per mini. That's crazy. And then of all the dragons of this scale, you just don't see at price points like this without them being like very cheaply made. And these are not. These are really good, really high quality dragons. So, it depends if you're trying to pick up all of them or if you just want all of the chromatic dragons. You could drop these two $15 ones and just get all these $17 ones, and you would have the entire chromatic spectrum. But these do have a good price, and I don't think Nathavar will be going to retail anytime soon, if at all. It sounds like they're not really planning on doing it, so I would pick this up now, and it's only $15 if you really want this one. Now you can check out the Dragons review because I talked about a few issues with it, but still I think it's a good model, and maybe my issues won't be your issues, and maybe your mini will have addressed some of those concerns. If I really had to pick out one dragon to say that's the one for me, It's got to be Shavenra, though. That's just such a great mini. If you're looking at this, you can kind of pick out certain minis there and certain packs. I hope this has helped. I'm going to now go dive into the Pledge Manager and look at some of the new stuff and some of the stuff that I skipped, but hopefully this has helped you make some decisions. I mean, you can see there's some really cheap stuff here, like the Disapproving Hand and all that, but if you try to get all of this, it's going to add up, but you can definitely cherry pick a few of these and come away with some really great savings. But remember, savings is only savings if you were going to spend it anyway. If this is all money that would have gone towards something else and you're taking it and putting it towards this, then it's not really saving. So just remember that. Good rule of thumb to think about when you're dealing with finances. Right, so here we are on the new Pledge Manager. Just going to scroll down and take a look at some of the new items and things that I didn't showcase. First new item here, you can see I have it selected. It's in my cart, but I haven't bought anything yet. I don't even know that I will. I have picked up some add-ons, but I did that on a different account, and then I closed it out before they then announced that they're going to be adding a bunch of new stuff. So egg on my face, I guess, with that one. But anyway, so $20 for this dragon turtle. I think they may have released a dragon turtle previously, but I don't know if it was in this material. It's a pretty good looking mini, and it's why I have it in my consideration cart. But I'm not in a state to just be spending willy-nilly right now, so we'll have to see. But personally, $20 for that seems like a really good deal. I think it'll fit in well if you have the Dark Depths or even the Brinewind set, though that's really more for townsfolk, but it still has that nautical theme. So this base right here, this looks great. Yeah, all these little barnacles that's got going on there, and this guy looks great. I'd love to see this in person. An add-on I did not feature in my Kickstarter reviews is the Mouselings. I have picked that up since. I'll be getting it sometime in 2022, but I just wasn't a fan of the whole fun size thing. If I wanted Mouselings, I wanted them small, and these are chibi, like big sized. I've come around on it. I really like the sculpts. Like, I really want to see this little acorn shield in person. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, but I guess I can just say maybe they're koala people, not mouse people, or something like that, or maybe they're just enlarged mouse people, because the sculpts are great, but the size, a little controversial in my opinion. $12 though, yeah, seems like a good deal. Song of the Sirens, it's another add-on that I didn't feature, but have picked up. $15, and it seems fair enough. I didn't get this the first time around because, I mean, on the one hand, it's not really a mini that, like, style that appeals to me so much, but then it's also not a very versatile or usable one in game. They're all of these sirens here. Two of them are just from, like, the top up. They're, like, in the water, so they're like that swimming troll. Like, I'm never going to use that. But then the others are on these rocks, and really this whole thing is just like a little showpiece you put on your shelf, and that didn't really appeal to me much at first. I've still ordered it, and so we're going to see what it looks like. It just felt necessary to help round out the reviews, but we'll see. It's going to be injected in a clear aqua, and I haven't seen anybody review this, possibly because of the nature of what those minis look like. But we'll see. See if I can show those off later on. Paints. I have too many paints. I don't need more paints. I don't know. This price is probably fair, but I don't need more paints. So that's why I didn't get any. The pirate ships. So they still have the classic pirate ship. It's gone up a bit, and the glow-in-the-dark pirate ship. Don't really have any other photos for them here, but if this appealed to you, it is a good looking model. if I could have it for free, I'd love it, but that's just spending that I couldn't justify then, and I definitely can't now. And I don't actually have a place to put this if I were to get it. So, you know, for me, I think I'm just going to be sticking to the battle mats and perhaps some dry erase marker to represent ships, because unfortunately this is just not in the cards. It is really cool though. It has 3 levels. You have like the top deck, there's a middle one that comes off, and then the bottom one all to play on, and then you can put people on these crow nests. There's height here. It's really neat. I don't knock anybody for getting it, but I just couldn't do it. Alright, Goth isn't here, but I'm pretty sure that's the T-pose looking dragon that Reaper has made long ago. $18 is probably a fair value, but I'm not super into the pose, so not gonna pick it up. No offense to the sculpt, I just don't. It just doesn't really do much for me. Now all of these, I look at these prices and I see like that looks about right for retail, maybe just slightly cheaper. So I don't really know if there's much savings going on here. But I do have one of them in my cart. This Blacksting Wyvern or Wyvern. It feels like it rounds out the dragon stuff for me. I know it's not technically a dragon, but who cares? It's dragonoid. It just looks really cool, and I think it'd be a really neat thing to pick up. If nothing else, I'm gonna consider the dragon turtle for sure. These other ones I'm not so sure about. This one would help with Yogg-Sothoth, but this base seems really clunky. Like if this thing is moving around, what is this all doing? Is this staying in place or is it moving with it? And it's $25. It's a good bit of spending. Skeletal dragon. It looks fine. But I think I prefer more like Draco Lich looking skeleton dragons. This one is not too expensive. It's kind of cheap. It has some exchangeable bits, but I don't actually know how big this is. It looks like it could be kind of small. It's very chunky though. But I have plenty of demons already, so with both of these, they're very neat. But I don't really think I need more demons, so for me, I'm gonna be passing those. The Dance of Death. This is like an infamous thing. In a good way. People really like it, but it's really more of an art piece. It's not really something to use in a game, and I really like having options. So if I can't use this in games, it's not necessarily something I'm going to gravitate toward. It looks great. If I had just disposable income, sure, I'd consider it, but at that state, I don't know. And then Mossbeard, $25. Whew. He's a big chunky boy, looks like. I don't know why they chose this angle, because it's kind of awkward. It makes his arm look like it's just like not posed correctly. It's just sticking out, but I know from the right angle that would just look like someone getting ready for a swing, but from this angle it looks like something's wrong with him. But for $25 for this guy, that sounds about right. That sounds probably not far from retail. But, I don't know if I can justify spending that right now. Rocky's cute, but don't need him. What are the weird little additions here? I don't care about the glow ones, but these 10 grade cannons for $10. $1 per cannon. Again, I'm not going to get a ship, but it sounds like a good deal to me. These could always just be field cannons or something. So this is something I might actually consider picking up. It's just really great value, and Yeah, they look good. I like all the little rope and rigging and stuff on there. It just looks nice. Looks great. Although, yeah, it looks like, unless this is rope is running alongside like something there, it looks like I'm seeing some filler right here. So you know, if you ever see a plastic mini and there's like a gap that should be air but it's filled in, I understand why that happens, but it doesn't always look great, and it looks like they have some filler here, which is a little unfortunate if true, but I haven't seen these in person, so maybe that makes total sense when I get my hands on it. It's not filler, but it kind of looks like it is, and not as big a fan of that. But yeah, it's ignorable. But yeah, so taking a look at the new stuff, I say most of it is probably just out of reach for me. But if it appeals to you, then awesome. But for me, I can't be doing that spending right now. And with that, I'd say we're pretty well wrapped up. Thank you so much for watching this series and supporting this channel. I really hope you stick around and subscribe for the future videos that I have coming out. There's going to be content for other Kickstarters, some more bone stuff, because I will have some add-ons coming eventually. And then, you know, there's going to be a lot of other D&D and TTRPG related content and miniature painting content to come. So, among other ideas that I have in the works. But, you know, I'm going to be leaving for a bit on a extended trip. So, there's going to be a little bit of a delay in new videos coming out, though I have plenty planned, and hopefully I'll be able to work on them while I'm away. I'm going to be kind of away, but I won't be away. I just won't be able to use the computer that I do all my editing and stuff on. So, and I can't film new footage, obviously, while I'm away, at least for the content that I'm planning in the short term. In the long term, there'll be plenty more things to work on. But yeah, just thank you so much for watching. You've really been just changing my whole perspective on things by, you know, contributing very positively to this whole journey that I've been on. And yeah, I'm just really thankful for you being here and supporting these videos, and really appreciate y'all. So, you know, as I always say, thanks so much for watching. Have a good one, and let's go paint some minis. Take care.